Hello, this is Mark here at Gary's Guitars in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and I'm here to talk about the Fender Blues Jr. Specifically, I'm here to talk about it because the video I made about the Pro Jr., which compares it to the Blues Jr., got a lot of views, but it also got a lot of misunderstanding about my feelings for the Blues Jr. So that's part of it. Second of all, if you notice in the description or my introduction, this is a talk about the amp. I will not play through this amp. There are endless videos on YouTube of people playing through amps. And it's YouTube compression, and to really know if you like an amp, you gotta try it yourself. Plug your guitar into the amp, really figure that out. And so I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna talk about the attributes of the amp. I'm gonna compare it to the Pro Jr. I'm gonna compare it to the other Fenders that you can get for under $1,000. And hopefully that's will be good enough and information that you need to know. So this particular Blues Jr. is in tweed because it's cool. They have a few different finishes on them, a few different wraps, but the tweed one we carry just because it's cool. And they usually, the lacquer tweed is maybe an extra $50 or something, but just they do custom colors every once in a while, but inside the amp is the same. So this one is Blues Jr. Model 4, right? Let's see here. LTD. This is version 4. So the 4th revision of this amp since they introduced it many years ago. This was introduced in the Hot Rod series, because it was the Hot Rod DeVille, the Hot Rod Deluxe, and they called this the Blues Jr. It was meant to be just kind of a little small stature amp in that Hot Rod family. And its popularity took off because it's a really cool small amp, and now everyone wants small amps. So this is an established small amp, and price point wise it's also very attractive. So right now Fender just raised their map prices to that being the minimum price they recommend to their dealers, to $699. So that's the price you'll see everywhere on this. Used to be $599. For $599 it was a great deal. $699 is still a good deal because the price of everything's going up. Let's talk about what's underneath, what's inside. The power section is 2 EL84 tubes. This is kind of unusual for Fender. This amp was their first amp to use the EL84. It's the European designation of the 6CA7. And when we talk about EL84 amps, we're thinking about Vox and Marshall usually, and European amps, so to speak. And Fender always stuck to the American style tubes and their traditional designs in their tube amp world, which would be 6L6s, 6V6s, 5881s. It's all kind of the same family of tubes. So the EL84 is going to give you a different sound. What does it do? Well, I think, to just generalize a lot, the sound of the EL84 is a more full range sound. For example, they're widely used in hi-fi and stereos. There's a lot of other things that have to do with sound, but if you want to, kind of have a cliche like this is what an EL84 is. Wider sound, maybe slightly brighter. Your brightness also depends on your speaker, of course, and your output transformer, and which brand tubes you use. Fenders now come with Groove Tube branded Fenders, or they might be Fender branded, but anyways, Fender bought Groove Tube, so that's their tube line, and they're actually manufactured by Electro Harmonics, which is good, because previously a lot of Groove Tubes came from Asia. I have nothing against Asian manufacturing, but the Russian tubes are better than the mainland Asia tubes. So that's a good attribute to have right away. So what else is cool? Built-in spring reverb. Is it the cheapest Fender amp with built-in spring reverb? For sure. And if you want spring reverb, real spring reverb, this is your only choice. The Pro Jr., which I personally like and play myself, has no reverb. It also has a 3-band EQ rather than the Pro Jr.'s 1-tone knob, and it has a master volume. It doesn't have channel switching. It has a switch called FAT, and the fat switch is an equalization curve kind of thing that will drive your master a little more. But it's a boost. It can be used as a boost, for example. You can get a cable that will. Let's see here. I think there is a plug in here. You can plug in a cable to trigger the fat control with a foot switch. That's all it does, foot switchable. It doesn't turn the reverb on and off, but if you use reverb, you probably just use it on. Especially if you're using the in-amp reverb. You leave it on, and then somebody will add some additional reverb to really pop out. And reverb on reverb sounds great. Keep that in mind. So I recommend version 4, not just because we're a Fender dealer and we sell the latest one, but I've done side-by-side comparisons of 3 and a very early USA model. And these are just a little bit, they're tuned a little bit more to today's needs, which is everyone wants lighter weight, quieter amps. And so, and everyone wants brightness. All of our music today is just getting brighter. And not that you can only have brightness, because you do have a tone knob, but you can take that brightness out or add more of it in. But the combination of the speaker they're using, and this, which is, I should have gotten my facts here, a Fender branded Jensen. Whoops. Yes, special design it says. So, with a pretty significant. It's a 12-inch speaker, just a pretty wide range sound. That's what I meant to say. So, of course, the look is fabulous. What else was I supposed to tell you about this? All tube, no chips in parallel that handle this little thing or hype up the sound. Because the other amps in the DeVille series did have a more complicated circuit by far. They would have little chips in them for a chip that ran the reverb, a chip for the phase splitter. I think I haven't looked at the schematic in a while, but you can find about 3 or 4 different op amps inside of those if you poke around. Don't poke around in your amp unless you know what you're doing. This is, as I recall, an all a real true tube amp circuit, which is great because otherwise you don't get that in a Fender amp until you pay $1,000 now. This is the most popular Fender amp we sell because it's become a little bit, sought after in that it's been around for a while. It's gotten its feet. It's gotten its place in the Fender family, and people. Because for a while the DeVille amps, people were like, oh no, like kind of like, it's not a real Fender. I want my deluxe. I want my Princeton. This can now take its place beside the great Fender amps in the canon of great Fender amps. So, to summarize, especially when we're talking about like in that Pro Junior video, which you can also watch here on YouTube, I said this is what the Blues Junior does, what the Pro Junior does. The Pro Junior is totally a great sound, very simple circuit, volume and tone, and that's it. Some people are just like, oh, I can't do that. Like I drive an electric car, I can go 100 miles at a time, and people go, oh my God, I could never do that. Well, you can. People do it every day. I do it. But it's just not what you're used to. So if you really want a 3-band EQ, this is your amp. If you really want onboard reverb, this is your amp. If you really want a good deal in the Fender world, this I think is the cheapest real, high quality Fender amp. I don't mean to say real like that, because the Champion, the new Champion, which we also sell, it's a great little amp. I like it. It's completely solid state, somewhat did chip based. I think there might be now they've switched to the Type D power amp stage, so that eliminates output transformers and output coupling as we know it. This is a traditional tube amp, transformer coupled, of course, Jensen speaker, and also in the sum up, I believe that the version 4 is the best version that they've made of this. Let's take a second and talk about mods. I'm almost out of time, but people go, oh, I want to get this amp, I want to mod it, I want to do this mod and that mod. We've seen mods that did improve sounds, we've seen mods that have had to be undone because they do terrible things otherwise. These amps are designed, like I would mod something that's less sophisticated or designed to less of a standard. These amps are really designed to tolerances that once you start changing, I mean, if you change the manufacturer and the value of the voltage on some, the voltage value on some capacitors, that can be a good mod. You can change the transformers to something you think is better. That could be good. Once you start drilling holes in the circuit board and running jumper wires and changing the value, the microfarad values instead of the voltage values on capacitors, you're starting to get into territory. And like I said, everyone used to say these are great amps, but you got to change the speaker. This one has a good speaker in it, although people do still change the speaker because speakers it's a preference thing. So to mod or not to mod, you can do it. Like in guitars, I often say we mod things here in the store all the time, but I tell people get the guitar with the pickups you like in it if you can. And so get the amp that you like the sound of. Try out this amp yourself. I'm not going to play it for you today, but there are videos of people playing it. I find those videos to be sometimes unlistenable because it's just someone's little camera phone. But come to a store and try one out, and I guess that's enough for now. I've spoken too much, but thanks for watching. Check out the other videos on YouTube, especially the Pro Junior video, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.